Well, hello everyone. Alejandro J. Tornato here, and I am the founder and CEO of Tornato Speaking, Leadership, and Coaching LLC. And as you know, this is not the very first time that I do an episode of Conversations with Influencers 2.0. This has taken these conversations to the next level. And what a great example today to take that conversation not just to the next level, but to a few notches above that with an incredible friend, someone who we belong to the same group. The Connected Leaders Academy, a great group of entrepreneurs and great thinkers and leaders. And I remember, having a virtual coffee, a conversation with my guest, Ivy Perez. But I still, the whole point of having these conversations is for the audience, to get to know another great influencer. But in this case, and in many cases, it is also for me to get to know this person because I don't know her that well. So this is an opportunity for all of us, to get to know Ivy. So how are you doing today, my friend?
I am phenomenal.
and I tell you one thing is great to have this interview because there are so many things that we are going to be talking about. And the first one, let's start from the very beginning because I can read there, next to your name it says life coach and triathlete. And so we are going to leave the triathlete for just a few moments, and we are going to concentrate on life coaching. Now, when did this desire, because I know you and I know your heart, that you have a heart for people, you have a heart to reach out and to help others, you have a heart-centered attitude. And I think that being a life coach, it just brings all those elements together. So when in your life journey, how long ago did you have, or did that desire to start uh, doing life coaching and helping people? When did that, when was the first moment that you realized that you had that desire to do this?
Well, I will say the seed that was planted in my mind about life coaching was about 15 years ago. I had lived in Arizona at the time. I was driving with a friend, and she said to me, she goes, "You should be a life coach. You're missing the boat," just like that. And I'm like, I never heard of life coaching. I didn't know what life coaching was. This was 15 years ago because she would call me and she would call me Deepak Perez. She would just call me on the phone. She said, "Deepak, I need to talk to you. Perez, I need to talk to you." I'm like, okay. And she would tell me that I needed to be a life coach. So fast forward 2018. So I was for about a year and a half in yet another job. It was just one of those things, jumping from job to job to job. And I wasn't happy at all. I knew that it wasn't for me. And it was one of those things where you kind of walk through the doors of work and feel this weight
Mm.
and the life energy just kind of like drain from you, and you're like, what am I doing? And the worst is when you come home, especially if you have a family. And I remember looking at my husband and my daughter thinking to myself, I'm cheating them by not playing bigger in my life. And I was like, wow, this is not good. So a year and a half into this job, I get fired. To make a long story short, which I typically don't do, I get fired. I get let go. For the first time in my life, I get let go from a job. 6 months prior to that, a girlfriend of mine had asked me, Well, she told me about this event that she had gone to. She was like, Ivy, this is such a transformational event. And all I thought about was you. You would be so good at this. And I'm like, it was at that time when I was placed on probation and I was afraid to lose my job. So she's like, you got to go. It's in Virginia, the next one. And, I'll fly out to meet you. And so I'm like, okay. And I didn't think about it. It was 6 months later in June of 2018. So
Mm.
forget about it. I didn't look into it. I didn't think about it. She tried sending me all sorts of information. My thing was not losing my job. And I was walking on eggshells for 6 months. 4 days prior to this event, and I knew it was coming up. But I didn't think about it. I was let go. So there's
Mm.
that part of me that's like, oh, what am I going to do? Now there's no paycheck. I don't have a paycheck coming in. How am I going to pay the bills? And blah, 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 blah. And then the other part of me was, thank you, God. Now I could go to this event. I have no idea what kind of event it is, other than it's personal development, and we always gain something from it. And so I remember driving down and praying. I was praying, please, God, show me a sign. Please show me a sign. I can't do this anymore. And so we get to the event. It's a 3-day event. Day 2 of this event. Now, by this time, I am resonating with everything this company is about and everything that they have. And they offered a life coaching program. So, first time I had heard about it really for this length of time, really. And I thought, oh my God, this is it. This is my sign. And it was the first time I had ever invested in myself in such a large capacity that I couldn't breathe. And I sobbed, filling out the form, sobbing. I'm like, I've never done this before. Like, I'm so scared because I had never really tackled anything where I completed it. So I would try different things, and that stems from my childhood. We moved about every 3 years, and it wasn't a military thing. We just moved every 3 years. So I got used to the start and go, stop and start. That was just my MO. So I did that, and as I you know got into the workforce, it was a job for a couple of years, go on to the next job I would get bored. So it was really a fear that I would invest so much money into something and not really take it further.
Mm.
I would complete it. I always complete something, but then that's where it ends. But yeah, so in 2018, I got certified, and it was a 6 month. It was very rigorous. It was a 6 month in transformational coaching, and it transformed my life. I went into it to learn how to be a life coach. That's it. Nothing else, because the program that it taught was called Dream Builder.
Mm.
It's the Dream Builder program. And what they teach you is so subtle, because what it does is it allows you to tap into that infinite side of yourself. You don't even realize it when you're going through the process. And and we all know, like we're preaching to the choir, it's not the end result per se, it's who you become in the process. And I didn't know that subtly I was becoming just a bigger version of myself. But the biggest thing that I got, because I was asked this question, because I talk about tangibles. Life coaching in general is walking clients through a journey of self-discovery, showing them different ways of thinking, different opportunities so that they can, create tangibles in their life. So I remember a woman asked me, well, what's your tangible from this program? And for a second, I had to think, that's a good question. I had struggled, and I've talked about this a lot, with alcohol for like close to 30 years. It was just a struggle. Like, I knew I needed to get rid of it in my life. It wasn't serving me, but I didn't know how. 2 months after I got certified, I made the decision. And it wasn't even a conscious decision. It wasn't like, oh, now I'm certified and now my life is better, I'm going to stop drinking and da 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 da. It was just another incident that had occurred. And I woke up and I said, that's it. Now, I've said that's it before many times. I quit. No more. I'm not doing it. I'm done many times. But this time it was an irrevocable decision where every fiber of my being stood at attention, said, that's it, we're done. And it's amazing, but it's still, now it was this time that it would take to really figure out who Ivy was. Who am I without alcohol? Who am I really to be? And that was a process in and of itself. There was still a lot of soul searching and self-assessing, and I still do that to this day. You are never there. We are always growing and learning. If you have a growth mindset, you always want to learn and grow and do things differently and be better than yesterday, and just learn, like, how do I become better? What do I need to do? you know and I'm not the woe is me, why does this happen to me? But I do ask that question in a way of, why is this happening to me? What am I supposed to learn from this? That happened when I went through a breast cancer. I call it a journey. And that was before, a year and a half before my daughter was born. And when I was diagnosed, sure, it was surreal. My world was turned upside down. But I remember thinking to myself, why is this happening to me? Who am I supposed to become because of this? And I always ask myself that question. I don't get the answer. I just kind of keep on moving with life and just go about life and just keep on growing and learning and reading and going to events and showing up. I just try to show up as best as I can. And by doing that, I learn and I grow. So, and that the life coaching, that was the pivotal moment in my life.
You know, it's really amazing because this is the very first time that we had this opportunity. To talk, and I have to be. As I always. I'm very transparent and very very honest and open. With everyone. I can tell you. I would just sit with you. And just listen and talk with you for hours. It's that kind of a connection. And you said so many things. That if we begin to unpack it, we are going to be here. For days.
Yes.
But you said something very, very, very important. Why? You see, there's so many people who ask the same question that you ask. Why is this happening to me? But in most people minds and hearts is, why is this happening to me, with the objective of moaning and complaining, and why is this happening to me? I'm sick and no, but in your case it was, why is this happening to me, with the objective of, I need to get better as a result of this, whatever this is happening. And why is this happening to me? When I get to the other side of the question, I'm going to be better as a result of it. So this, why is this happening to me, is taking me further along that pathway of becoming the very best version of myself. And you said, we are never, and I said it many times. We'll never get there. We are always a work in progress. We are consistently chiseling off that piece of marble, and the David and the statue is not going to be ready. It's in a constant process of evolution and improvement. And what a reassuring thing, that you said that 6 months on that life coaching program truly raised your level of awareness of who you are, and what you wanted out of life. Now, that did you start working as a life coach from that moment, or not?
No, no, I didn't. Two things happened. One, right after that was, I don't know how it came about, but wanting to do life coaching online where
Hmm.
I can reach more people. Sure, I could do it in my community. I could do like little workshops and, 5, 10 people, whatever. And I did a handful of those, but I thought, God, if I could do this online, I could reach so many people. But that took me down a rabbit hole. It really, really did. And it actually took me away from life coaching for a time. It did, because I'm trying to learn the marketing, I'm trying to learn all these platforms. And so, again, it's the analysis paralysis. I got to analyze everything before I do anything. And I didn't do anything with the life coaching for a long while. But in a way, I kind of life coach every day. It's just not doing it in a business sense where I'm building a business. So it's slowly happening, but no, I didn't do it right away.
Have you? Let me ask you. I mean, something that you said pricked my brain, and I'm going to ask you: have you ever taken a personality test, like
We have.
a disc personality test?
I've done disc in the past, and actually one of the ladies in the CLA, Kenyatta, I believe it
Oh
is.
yes, Kenyatta Turner.
Yes, and I did her, but that's different than a
Yeah,
personality. It's a behavioral
that, that,
test.
that's
And
exactly
for
right.
me, I
Yes.
forget what I was. I was a teacher, and like I forget the word, almost like community relations, but that's not the
Like a
word.
community builder.
Yes, something along. So it was interesting.
Okay.
I'm like, that's interesting. I could see the teacher part because I'm always kind of like learning and teaching and
Uh-huh.
kind of thing. So
But the reason that I ask you that is because when I can see you when you said analysis paralysis, I can see you that in your case, um, in the disc, I mean, the D are very dominant, very aggressive persons. The I's are very, I am an I mean, very inspirational, very, very, very connecting with people and so forth. Then you have the S, I mean, very supportive, I mean,
mm,
very supportive, very reaching out, helping people and so forth. And then you have the C, and the C, I think that you are a C because you have to dot every T, every I. You have to make sure, I mean, when you're doing, let's say, an addition, then you do the addition and you recheck the addition to see if it's right, and then you have to recheck it again a third time and perhaps even a fourth time, I mean, just to make sure that, because it's that I mean, you are into the details, I mean, everything, I mean, has to be uh, really correct. And sometimes there is that level of wanting to be a perfect, I mean, a
mhm,
perfectionist. and
mhm.
and because we are not perfectionists, then you just that paralyzes you and that keeps you in the loop.
And it's a form of procrastination. It really is perfectionism. It really is procrastination.
Sure. Yes.
So
So then, okay, and you are there was a time, I mean, to learn, I mean, social media and to get into that. And I'm sure that during the time of COVID, I mean, 2 or 3 years, then you had plenty of opportunities, I mean, to be at home, I mean, and to learn social media and to learn everything. So is that, where do you see yourself, I mean, when it comes to life coaching, or in that area of your life, maybe, I mean, a year from now, 5 years from now, I mean, is that something that you're feeling very passionate about, that you want to take it to the next level, or is there something else along those lines?
it's kind of two pronged. So the life coaching has given me the tools, but there's so much that I have to offer outside of just life coaching.
Mm.
So I am, we had this the call this morning in the CLA community.
Yeah.
And one of the things is for me personally is to just be me. How am I growing? How do I want to grow even further? I'm 52. I don't think age is, it's not even just a number, it's perspective. You can use age as something where you use it as an excuse to not have new experiences, to not challenge yourself, or you can use age as a catalyst to do more and be more. And for me, it's the latter. So I'm always, for me, physical things make me feel alive.
Mm.
It just gives me the energy. I could do more. I'm just more clear. I have more clarity and I'm able to show up in a different way. Like when I have time on my hands and when I'm not working out, the energy is not there. So, but when I go for a run or a swim or a bike ride, whatever, it just, I show up differently. So for me, utilizing the life coaching, and now that I've just completed a triathlon, it's incorporating that. But for me, the big thing is for men or women to really not think that whatever age that they are, that they can't achieve, that they can't go after their dream. And sometimes because of life and marriage and kids and job, whatever that dream is so buried, you don't even know what it is anymore. And you have to just peel the layers back. And that's a process and that takes time. And for me, I want people to understand that you got to take the time
Yeah.
so that you have longevity, so you have vitality.
Mm.
Because whether you're 40, 50, 67, it doesn't matter. You could be 80 years old and still try something new in your life. And
Oh,
that's part of dream building. What do you want to build for
yeah.
your life and have a voice
Yeah.
for yourself? For yourself. What is it that you want? Because as a child, I didn't have that voice. It was one of those, you are to be seen and not heard.
Mm.
It was one of those, you're being nosy. If you asked a question, don't ask, you're being nosy. So I grew up not asking questions because I thought that I was bothering people. I took that into adulthood. That hindered me, outside of other things that happened when I was a child. It hinders you. And it's not until you become an adult when you realize, okay, again, you use your age as a catalyst to grow, or you use it as, well, I am 40. You know what they say when you turn 40, everything is downhill from here. No, no, and I've heard people say that. So I think for me, it's to combine everything by being who I am and putting, because I'm in the process of putting a course together, but I need a little help in just marrying everything so that it could be this well-rounded course to really help people find the voice within.
As a matter of fact, I'm sure that you heard the same thing that I heard, that as we are growing up, um, obviously the only influences that we have are our parents at home, or family at home, and then teachers in school. I mean, those are the major two kinds of influences. And you know that by a time that a child gets to a certain age, which is very, very young, how many thousands of times that child heard the infamous words, no, don't do that, don't say that, don't, I mean, is no, 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 wherever you turn around 360 degrees, and the only things that you're hearing are negative things. And no wonder, I mean, we take that, I mean, to adulthood, and we don't do anything because, I mean, we bring that mindset of, no, don't do that, don't touch that, don't say that, don't talk to strangers, don't do anything. So
Yeah.
we just don't do anything, and we come into adulthood in a very paralyzing kind of an attitude. I mean, we come with crutches. I mean, we come, living in a wheelchair. and a mental wheelchair, that we are crippled, handicapped, mentally crippled,
Absolutely.
and that's what happens with most. And until something happens, or you get a mentor, or you get a coach, or you get a friend who can elevate your thinking and change your mindset, uh, then you just end up in the grave in that way. And how sad that is.
Yeah.
And age, I mean, you mentioned age, you know, that is something. There are two kinds of, I guess, growings that we do in life. And one is our chronological growth. I mean, and that is something that you cannot stop.
Right.
You see, a year from now, you're going to be a year older, and I'm going to be a year older. Whether we want it, whether we like it, whether we can moan about it, it will happen. It
Yeah.
will happen. Uh, that's unless we don't die before. But I mean, if we are living a year from now, we're going to be a year older. But the question is this: are we going to be growing mentally, spiritually, emotionally a year from now? And that is something that it doesn't happen automatically.
No.
We have to be intentional about doing that. And that is what you just said, is that kind of an intentionality that we have to live on a daily basis to keep personally growing every single day.
Yeah. And you have to want it. You have to really, really want it. Because for many, many years, I wanted more out of life. I wanted to be surrounded by people who weren't negative and cynical, because that was all around me. I wanted to be surrounded by people who were kind and supportive and guiding, and because I didn't have that. So I desired that. And I remember this was in high school, because I had, there was abuse for me growing up. And I remember in high school crying in bed. And this was at home. And all I said was, God, just give education and love. That's all I want. I just want I don't know where that came from. I just want education and love. That's it. I want to learn. I want to grow. And I just want to be surrounded by people who are loving and kind and giving. That's all I wanted. I wanted that for me, and I wanted that for others. But I didn't know how that was going to happen. And over time, because that was such a strong desire in me, opportunities placed themselves in front of me. People were placed in. Sometimes I wasn't ready for it. A lot of times I wasn't ready for it.
Mhm.
I remember one time I was going for a job, and I think I was in high school. Maybe I was 17, 18 years old, Radio City Music Hall in New York City.
Mm.
And it was for just ticket sales. I just wanted to be in the environment, and was going for an interview. And I remember it was a 3-person panel. And one of the guys said to me, he goes, because I was going for ticket sales. He said, "Would you like to be a tour guide?" He goes, "We have people from all over the world that come here." And I was like, me? No, 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 no. Like, I can't do that, because I was never given that love and support. Like, you can do anything. You are smart. You are this. And I didn't get any of that. Instead, I got the complete opposite. And so for anyone to tell me that I had, because he goes, "That's too bad, because you have presence." I was like, whoa. And I
Mm.
never forgot that. Never forgot that. Because I didn't just have the self-esteem, carried myself well. You would never know. And it's that saying, you can never outgrow your self-identity. That took me some time to really read that and read and get it. And I was like, ooh, that is, and I actually posted about that too recently. I'm like, you need to read that over and over again, because that is so incredibly, you can come across as if you are confident all day long, but there's a part of you that doesn't believe that you are deserving. If there's a part of you that doesn't believe that you are worthy, or a part of you that believes that you can't attain whatever that is for you, that it's out there too big for you, you'll never get it. You just won't.
No. That's so true. That's so true. Um, there is a book about self-esteem. I mean, and it's by a doctor. It just went away. I mean, I can't remember, but it says exactly that. I mean,
Oh, is that
we
psycho-cybernetics?
Cybernetics by Dr. Maltz.
Maltz. Maxwell
Yes,
Maltz.
that's right,
Yeah.
Maxwell Maltz. Exactly,
Uh-huh.
and he said exactly that. We cannot. You see, he was and amazing. I mean, he was a plastic surgeon, and people used to come to him. He says, "Doctor, you have to change the way I look." um, and he was just telling people life that I mean, listen, you are not going to change because your face changes,
Right.
because that is external. What is going to help you change is if you change internally, is how you see yourself, is not how people see you, is how you see yourself. If you see yourself the most beautiful person in the world, even if you have two scars in your face, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You are going to have presence. You are going to have, because it's you look at yourself in that light. But if you look at yourself, my goodness, I am ugly. I am distorted. I am. That's is not just how people are going to look at you, but it's how you are going to reflect that to the world,
Yes.
that you are ugly, that you have this, and the world is going to respond back to you in the same way.
Yep.
How true that
Yep.
is.
Yep. And that's what I want for people, and that takes time. It
Yeah.
really, really takes time. It took me decades after just realizing or even wanting more. Took decades. And that's part of the learning and the listening and the just reading, and just it has to be a constant. Like, I don't listen to anything else but podcasts and motivational things and audiobooks, and it just constant. I can listen to the same thing over and over again, and then one day it resonates differently with me, kind of thing. And that's what I want for everyone, is to really know that they have it within themselves to be more and have more and do more. It's a vision. And I know for me personally, growing up, vision, it was more about survival. There's no, like, the interviews that says, well, how do you see yourself in 3 years or 5 years? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing next week. I don't know. I couldn't see beyond, because I thought you had to have this picture, which you do, but that came with time, to understand that to envision a life, that's step one. That's your blueprint. You need to have a vision for what it is in your life, because just like if you were to build a home, you can't go to an architect and say, oh, I just want a happy home, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. Like, no, it has to be specific, it has to be precise, it has to, everything, color, everything. And that's what our dreams have to be. And that's a process. And that's where I come in, and I help people with that. That's step one. That's just step one, and that takes time.
That's exactly right. So let's move into the other thing. I mean, the triathlon,
Yeah.
and I tell you, I have to say to you that as you were training and as you were preparing for the race, you were doing, I guess, weekly or bi-weekly reports and videos, Facebook lives on how you were feeling, and what was your mood, and what were you doing, and I mean, were you having problems with the bike, and about swimming, and how many yards, and blah blah blah, all the rest. And so it was a great way, I mean, to just walk with you, I mean, that process. But when did it start? When did you have that moment that you said, I have to compete in a triathlon? That's it. When did that happen for you?
The seed, I always talk about the seed because it always starts with the seed. The seed was planted for a triathlon when I was about 20 years old. I was
Oh,
working at an office in the city. I was a receptionist. Absolutely loved the job because I was the first person people came to see. I'm like, "Good morning. How was your weekend?" And I remember a young gentleman, he walks in the door. His name was Eric. I remember. And I said, "Good morning, Eric. How was your weekend?" He was like, "It was good, Ivy. I did a triathlon." And he must have saw my face. And I was like, "You did a what?" That is like so cool. And so he's getting his messages and his mail and he goes, "You should try it." Walked away. And I'm like, I always thought like triathlon was, and it is a big deal. And there's different levels to it, that it was so beyond, like, not a girl like me. I couldn't do that. Like me? No. So it would take almost 30 years, 20, 30, 40, 50, 30 years. But it really wasn't until, and I've always wanted to do it. There was that part of me that every so often it would pop up. I'm like, oh, that would be so cool. Maybe it was, on TV or someone mentioned it. When I was doing marathons when I was in my 30s, my marathon coach he did triathlons. And I'm like, you just do a triathlon? Like, I don't know. So it just always fascinated me, but I always thought it was beyond me, but it was there. I was like, wow, that would be so cool to do. But I also, and I mentioned this before, the drinking was an issue for me. I did marathons. I thought, oh yeah, just put on sneakers and go for a run. That's fine. But for whatever reason, a triathlon takes more work, takes more dedication. There's a lot more involved. Just so many different factors involved in a triathlon. I just thought it was beyond me. And it wasn't until I made the decision to stop drinking. That was 2018, June 1st, 2018. And it was right around that time where I started doing a vision board. I had done one before, and that's another story. But I had done a vision board and I cut out a picture of, you would think it's a triathlon. It was a guy coming out of the water. He had the number down his arm. And I was like,
mm.
oh, God, would love to have a number on my arm just to do a try. I'm like, I want that. So I would look at it, not every day in a sense of like, oh my God, I would love that. I would look at it like, God, that would be so cool. Go about life. And that was for about 4 years, just for about 4 years. And every once in a while, about a year and a half, 2 years ago, I would look online for different races just to see what's out there. It's like, oh, that's a triathlon. Oh, that's 2 hours away. That's too far. Oh, there's a triathlon in this town. That's too far. As if I was going to do it, but I would always use distance as an excuse in my mind. December of 2021, looking again, and it pops up in my email, triathlon 15 minutes away in my backyard. And I remember looking up going, are you kidding me? I was like, okay. I can't use distance as an excuse anymore. All right. Okay. I did not know how to swim. Granted, I could jump in a pool, I could go in the ocean and kind of swim around. I could jump off a diving board, like basic, very basic. Swimming, strokes, form, all these things, no clue. Did not know how to swim, didn't own a bike, never purchased a bike. So, yeah, is biking easy? Relatively, but there's lots of factors even with a bike that you have to know when you're riding on the road too, and forget about with racing. And running, I was okay with. So I'm like, okay, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Again, dream building, the first thing you need to do is put the dream on hold. It's none of your business. The dream needs to, the how is on hold. You just have to focus on what it is that you want. And that's it. And that's not easy. I say it, but it's not easy. That's a practice. So I would say to myself, I don't know how I'm going to get this done. I don't know how I'm going to do this. But that was December. I knew that if I was going to start, it would be roughly April. So I had some time to think about it. I said nothing to no one so that if I decided not to do it, no one would know. But I wrote it down in my calendar. So as April rolled around, I see it right across the top of my calendar. Start training for your triathlon. I was like, okay, all right, let's do this. And I just started, and we got a membership at the pool. Luckily for me, my husband was a lifeguard. He did swimming, so he was able to help me there. And it was a fear. Like I getting in the water is fine, but it was an open water swim. As many people know that have followed me, that was just get, and still it's uncomfortable, but I got better. And again, age is perspective. For me doing this, it was how am I going to, well, who am I going to become in this process? Because it's a big deal, along with family and work and everything else. How am I going to do this? I was like, I don't know how, but all I know is that I have to do one thing at a time. First, it was swimming. I did that for a little while, a month or so, before the bike came into play. And that was serendipitous. The lifeguard in the pool, my husband and him were talking. He was like, oh, I know a woman that's selling a bike. It's a very good bike. So at first I was like, I don't know, I don't know. And I was doing research and I thought she was placed in my path. There's a reason she was placed in my path to help me along my journey. So I bought the bike from her, you know, and it's like, okay, let me start, riding the bike. Even that was scary, just in my neighborhood. I was afraid to go out in the street. I was like, I'll just do my neighborhood early in the morning, no one's out. And it took a month before I bought a helmet. So because it's just like little things, the cost, little things, like kind of like, and yeah, and it was like, okay, how am I going to grow? Let me document. Let me just show the journey. And that's not easy because I said to myself, part of this process is not just documenting the good, you got to document the not so good.
Mhm.
You got to show people that it's not always fun. And the bike was really the thorn in my side. And I remember a girlfriend said to me, oh, I thought it was the swim. I go, no, the swim was like angst. I'm like, oh, I don't want to do it. The bike was a thorn.
Mhm.
Like it just was. But it was part of the process. It was part of the journey. Lots of wall kicking moments, frustrating days, days where I cried, not because I didn't want to do it. And it was mostly the bike. I just didn't, I learned that I don't like to tinker. I don't like to tinker. I don't like to take things apart. I don't like to build. I don't like to look at directions. I'm like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I put it aside. I just put it aside. I said, I'll get to it. And let me focus on the other things because there's three. There's bike, there's swim, and there's run. Let me focus on swim and run. I'll get to the bike. Uh, you know, because it's part of that stress factor. What can I do to kind of alleviate some of the stress? Let me focus on what I can do. And that was one of the things that I said to a lot of people. And that goes with life, not just with the triathlon. What can you do with what you have right now? Don't focus on what I don't have and the big pitch. So what can you do right now? Just take a step. You don't have to, as Martin Luther King Jr. says, you don't have to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step. That's it. And so this is part of, sharing this with people and just, I hope, that I not just motivated, that I inspired for people to take a step. That's it. Maybe it's a 5K. Maybe it's a walk. Maybe it's who knows what. And that's all I can do. I try to be the best version of me. I share it and I hope that I can inspire and I know I did. And I know I did because I received lots of messages, private messages. They were like, "You don't even know what you did. Today I was on a bike ride and I was going to give up and I said to myself, "Come on. You get the Ivy power. You got this." Seriously. So I was like, that is so cool. That is so cool.
What were some things that you definitely learned for yourself uh, through this journey?
I learned that I really can tackle anything.
Mm.
Um, for years, I thought that a triathlon was beyond me, like not for someone like me, for someone else. And I went through it. Yes, it's a process, and yes, it took time, but then it happened. And I remember, coming to the race day, I was nervous, but then I said to myself, Ivy, enjoy it. And I had people tell me that it's your first, just enjoy it, just soak it in. And I did. And I had a blast. I had so much fun. I did much better than I thought because I took the pressure off myself. And I'm out on the run, I'm out on the bike, and I'm kind of like, Sunday fun day, come on. People are laughing because I wasn't stressed. I was just having a good time. So for me, what I learned is that, when there's something you think is beyond you, just take the first step. Even for myself, just take the first step and go for it. And you never know. Something could have happened along the way when maybe I couldn't complete it, but that doesn't mean that I'm a failure by no means. By no means. You just kind of pick it up and keep on moving forward. So, and I'm looking forward to the next. My eyes are set on a half Ironman. So here's the different levels. You have a sprint, which is typically a quarter-mile swim in pool or open water, 10 to 12-mile bike ride, mine was 10, and a 3-mile run. That's usually a sprint. And then you have Olympic triathlon. It's a little bit longer distance. Then you have the half Ironman. Now, the half Ironman is half of the Ironman, which is the big kahuna. So half of that is a 1 I think it's a 1.2, I know I'm getting this wrong, but about a mile or so swim,
Okay.
a 54-mile bike ride, and a half marathon, 13.1 miles. That is a half Ironman. They call it 70.3. So a total of 70 miles of racing. And that typically takes about 7 to 8 hours to complete. And I have my eyes set on that.
And so that's the half. That means the complete Ironman is like a full marathon,
Yes.
24, 20, what is that,
26.2. Mm-hmm.
26.2
And then
miles.
the bike is 112 miles. And then the swim is 2.4-mile swim.
Oh,
And that on average takes about anywhere from 13 to 15 hours. I think they give you about 18 to complete. That I would love to do that. But right now, and you know what? And it's not inexpensive. It's not. So that is going to take a little time. That's a big financial endeavor. But I'll do
oh, it is?
a half Ironman and an Ironman. Yeah, on a median price for half Ironman is about $700 to $800 entrance fee. That's just to say I'm registering. That's not everything else that you have to do to train. The
But
Ironman.
yeah, I mean, to train, that's up to you. I mean, whatever you want to do for training.
Yes. So if you want to hire a coach of sorts, you need a new bike and all the little gear and the time and all that, that's on you. To enter, to say I want to be in this race, on average is about $700 to $800. That's a half Ironman. The Ironman on average is about $1,100 just to
Oh,
register. So
just
it's just to register.
huh,
So that's where sometimes sponsorship comes into play, raising money comes into play.
that's
I
right.
would love to get to that point. I would love to get it. Are you listening, Jose Escobar?
But no, but but I tell you, it's so great because now you are in a situation in life, and then you can look back and you can say when you were going for that ticket sales in Radio City Music Hall, and someone asked you, would you like to be a tour guide because you have presence? Now you can truly believe that
Oh,
Ivy Perez has presence. And
Yeah.
that came true. I mean, years later, then you realize it doesn't matter what other people realize, but you yourself realize that you have presence. And not only that, but now you realize that in your mind, anything, anything is possible.
Yeah.
I mean, we are definitely swimming in the ocean of infinite possibilities
We are.
because everything is possible.
Yeah. And for many people, that's a pipe dream, because they live in the chaos of what's happening, the noise of what's happening, and they're like, that's impossible. And sure,
That's right.
in the word itself, I am, or I'm, and it's possible. But that's
Yeah.
the growth mindset. Most people don't have it. So all
Yeah.
we can do is to show up in a way that's positive, that's really challenging ourselves in a way that allows other people to believe, even just a smidge, that it is possible for them to do something. And that's all we can do. Even as a parent, you teach and you educate and all these things. And you hope that with everything that you give, your mentorship, your guidance, your love, the
Sure.
seed, you're nurturing this flower, that they grow to bloom to really good human beings.
Sure. You
Yeah.
know, as you were sharing, I mean, one thing, well, I wrote many things, but one thing that is standing out is that you said that in any endeavor
Mm.
that we engage ourselves in, whatever it may be, to put the how on hold. Do not concentrate on how. Um, I want to. I want to speak all over the world. Okay, that's the dream. That's the dream building. And then immediately you get into, how on earth am I going to do that?
Yeah.
And then Ivy says, just put the how on hold.
Yeah.
Don't 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 get yourself concerned with how you're going to do it. Is that your dream? Is that what you really want to do? Okay, that's it. The how is, hang it somewhere, okay, and close the door. Put it inside the closet, close the door, leave it there. Now is, what is the first step that I need to take to get to that?
Yeah.
Well, maybe, I don't know. See, I mean, if there's any conferences, I mean, look, start applying. Talk to people.
Yeah.
Get yourself. I mean, people who have been in this conference or that. Just begin to take one step at a time, even if that step is a very insignificant step, but
Yes.
take it.
Yes.
Okay, and sooner or later, then as you keep having that mental picture that you want to speak all over the world, or in some particular countries that you, then that is going to happen.
Hmm.
Not the how is there, it doesn't matter, but it's just taking that step, one step,
Yeah.
and be consistent on it, and
Yeah.
then you'll end up doing it,
Yeah.
because that dream building is going to become a reality.
Yeah. And it's putting yourself in the vibrational energy too, because you can think it and then feel as if that's impossible for you, then yeah, it's impossible. It won't happen. But if you put yourself, and that takes time and it takes practice to want something and really feel the feelings of having it, now you're in sync. Now you're in alignment with that dream. Now things start to, it's an energy thing. Now things start to move in a way that's going to bring forth the people, the circumstances, the situations, and things like that in your path. You have to be ready for it. You have to
Yeah.
be ready for it. But yeah, you have to keep the image alive, and you have to put the how on hold. There's all these things, but that's part of, finding either a coach or a mentor or someone, an environment of community that's going to help keep that that fire burning, you
Yeah.
know? Because just like in the Connected Leaders Academy, you can be part of the academy and not necessarily involve yourself per se. You can show up in the meetings and be quiet on the background, but still, even by not saying anything, just by being part of the community and hearing people and what they're doing, and all the books and all these things that are happening, all that is feeding your mind in a way that eventually you're like, ah, I need to do something different. I need to level up. I need to, do what I've been saying I wanted to do, just by virtue of being part of a community such as the Connected Leaders Academy.
Yeah, yes, definitely. Well, I tell you, my dear friend,
Is our time up?
after 55 minutes, and I tell you, I mean, we went long, but it was so worth it, so
That's
worth it. And
fun.
I'm so, but we haven't finished yet, because what I started doing, and is asking each one of my guests a kind of a signature question. And this, and of course, I mean, I didn't tell you that because I don't want people, I mean, to prepare that. I mean, I just
Right.
want to, I mean, to be in the spur of a moment. But since this is Conversations with Influencers 2.0, I just want to ask you this. I mean, what does it mean to you, to Ivy Perez, to be a person of influence?
Hmm. To me, to be a person of influence is really stepping into who you are created to be, and whatever you need to do to raise your vibration, raise your standard, eliminate the negativity, eliminate the people that are not allowing you to rise above all this. You become better, you become stronger, your mind, you start to build your mind, that you start to influence just in your small community. It could be in your household. You can be a huge influence in just your household. That spills over to your family. That spills over to your friends and your community. And then if you're online, just the people, your online friends and the people who are watching you, that's being an influencer in a way that you just show up a bright light, especially now, most especially in this day and age. There's too much divisiveness, there's too much polarity, there's too much hatred and negativity. But if we can show up in a way, we know it's there. I know it's there. Like my mom tells me, Ivy, you live in a bubble. I go, I like my bubble. I like my bubble. I know what's out there. I see it. I don't need to inundate myself with it. I don't need to kind of just sit and just soak all the negativity in. I know it's there. Now I show up in a way. How do I want to show up in this world? What do I want more of? I want more kindness. I want more growth minded people around me. I want people who are, they're wanting, they're able and willing to be just more of themselves. And I think that is being an influencer, is showing up in that way, because that is such a beautiful trickle effect.
I tell you, I'm just gonna say that for me, this few moments, um, and they have been absolutely incredible. So I truly appreciate you. I appreciate, I mean, your willingness to do this, and I am. This has given me an even. I cannot wait, because Ivy and I and many others, we are going to go to an upcoming event, um, and that's going to be in Philadelphia soon, on October 7th, 8th, and 9th.
Yeah.
Is Flashpoint 4.0. And our dear friend and brother Austin Haynes is putting that event, and is very busy now organizing and going over the details. And I know that it's going to be an incredible experience. So, and I'm going to have the double pleasure of not only just being there, but meeting Ivy in person. I mean,
I
that's going to
know.
be incredible. And but uh, so grateful and so thankful. I mean, for you, for your journey, for who you are, for showing up with
Mhm.
such remarkable authenticity and transparency, um, and sharing things in your life that I know that is going to have a great positive impact in people's lives.
Yeah.
So, this, my friends, has been another incredible episode of Conversations with Influencers 2.0. And I don't know how we are going to top this one up, but as I always say, um, uh, the best is yet to come, even though I think that is going to be hard. But this has been truly a great time. So
It was wonderful. I thank you. I thank you for asking me to be part of this conversations with influence. I mean, that name in and of itself is humbling. It really is. So thank you. I thank you.
no, you are truly influencer, and I cannot wait for the journey that you are going to take us all when when you start training, whenever that happens, for the half Ironman.
Yes.
That's gonna be remarkable.
Yeah.
And of course, I mean, you are going to, I mean, you're going to kick it. I mean, you're gonna be excellent at it.
Even if
So
I'm 60, even if I'm 60, doesn't matter.
listen, I mean, I think that when people watch this episode, a part of so many golden nuggets that you shared, I think that the one thing that people are going to remember, but very, very specific, is age, my friends, does not matter a bit. I mean, it doesn't matter. You can be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, even a centenarian, and you can do whatever you want to do, because like Ivy says, everything is in here.
Yeah.
Everything is in here. So, my dear friend, I love you so very much. I mean, you are a great, adorable human being,
Oh, thank you.
and you're keep growing. And it is my honor and pleasure to call you friend.
Oh,
Thank you so
thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
And for all of you, thank you so very much for watching. If you catch the replay, just put your comments and your feedback. And until the next conversation with Influencers 2.0, all the very best and be well. Bye bye.
Bye.